Back to PowerPoint. So now we define network settings. So next thing you do is the network profiles. In network profiles, wireless is a little bit different from wired networking setup. The most important thing is the SSID. So the SSID is different, plus there's the RF characteristics, which is not on wire side. So you need to define all these information. Now, think about the scenario now. What we're going to demo in fact is we will bring up building 3 and building 4 wireless using Catalyst 9800. In our demo, that controller is virtual controller. Okay, so now these two virtual controller essentially in the current design is they are primary and secondary and back up each other. So controller 3 will be on building 3, controller 4 on building 4, and then they will be primary and secondary to each other. So that's the design scenario we're talking about. Now, how we to deploy the enterprise SSID and later the guest SSID, I'll show you along the way. So quickly, in the network profile here, you can see in all the services, first you define the SSID, right, or the guest network design. What is your RF profiles, and what is the your default model? Is that flex connect deploy model, or is local mode for the access point? Right? There's a in the middle you see there's a called name capability. That's a feature we actually work on. In the next DNA Center major release, we actually gonna deliver this name capability. So why we need name capability? So when I do the demo, you will see is you have a much fewer knobs or configuration parameters you can be done through DNA Center compared with Prime. So we need to have the name capability to cover the gap we have between the Prime and DNAC for configuration-wise. Now, of course, if you don't have, if configuration is not covered by DNAC yet, you can always using CLI template to complement that and to apply the rest of configurations. So what we go is trying to at least 70–80% of the configuration should be done with the model-based config on the controller, then less config will be on the CLI template. So here's how you construct the network profile, right? You can see the component here is you have wireless settings, right? You have the network settings and device credentials. All these 3 components is actually generated by DNA Center. Now user need to come up, if you see some configuration is not covered by these 3, you can using CLI template to complement that. So in design workflow, this is actually the quick rundown of the workflow. Create a site, we already did. We did the define network settings. The next we're gonna do is define the wireless settings. Essentially, create a SSID, create RF profiles, and we will actually create the CL template through the demo. And then we put them all together into the network profile. And then the next step is you have the network profile, you need to associate this profile to a different site. Now, later when you provision the controller into the site, we'll automatically have that profile. That's how the DNAC, that provisioning works in this way. So let me see. This is all actually the screenshot. I think I'll just quickly skip through this. Let me quickly go to the end for the demo here. So now here, my plan is to design. So as a network admin, I want to do is I will define a new SSID. So let's create an SSID called BRK EWN 2026. So this is the SSID name. Now from here, you can see there's a type of enterprise networks. You will see voice and data or data only. When you select voice and data, we essentially translate into the QoS profile platinum. If you select data here, that's essentially the silver profile, for QoS profile. So let's keep the same here. And if you want to change configuration on Fastlane, you just simply select the box. The rest configuration will be taken care of by DNA Center. Right, here's the SSID status. Do you want to, there's a question there? This is the regular, like the first, the Fastlane. That one, maybe you need a new like CLI template to do it, yeah. So the question is, this is for adaptive Fastlane. So right now it's not there yet. So that's where the question is, if it's some configuration is not cover that yet, first we can using name capability, or we can using CLI template to cover that. Now for wireless SSID wireless options here, you can working on the both band, right? You can using 2.4 gigahertz or using 5 gigahertz, and you may see an option here. It's not on the controller before. It's called this is the thing created on DNA Center. It's dual band operation with band select. Essentially, from SSID point of view, we'll select 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, and then we also enable band select. Right? Normally in the AirOS days, that'll be in the advanced tab, right? You just enable that functionality. Now, with the requirement here, there's some advanced setting like 11W for memory-free protections, 11R, 11V, or any session timeout. We add these parameters more in 1.3 code, as you can see here. So you have actually more knobs here in the SSID configurations. Now in the next page here, what you do is associate this SSID to a network profile. Right? Now let's create this. Let's give a same session name here. Now remember here we talk about is we actually gonna deploy as a fabric, as a non-fabric. Now for this SSID, typically you will map to an interface, right? So here I will create an interface called, this is for my wireless data. I'll give VLAN ID 30, then click save here. So after you create an interface, we essentially saying all the traffic hitting this SSID should go into the wireless dash data. Now if it's for Flex Connect architecture, design for the SSID, you just enable this Flex Connect local switching. For our deployment scenario, we just cover for local. So then the next thing you do is this profile should be associated to which site. Means which site should have broadcasting this SSID. Now, if I expand this San Jose, let's enable on building 3 and building 4. Now we simply click OK. Now these two sites will have this network profile and will have this SSID. Now, at the very end here, you see the template here. This is for the CLI template you're going to apply. Now, let's leave it out for now. Let's click on Finish. And that's pretty much you create the SSID. Now, I think someone already asked about, hey, what if some configuration is not covered? Now it's time to do is going to template editor in DNA Center and define that CLI template. So one thing to be, before we have a plug-and-play support for the controller, all the CLI template today is DN template. Basically, the device already part of inventory, then you start to provision that template. So by default, in the template editors, you will have a 2 sections in 133. One section is called onboarding configuration project. That section essentially is all the template can be using for day 0 plug and play. How many of you actually know plug and play? Not many. So plug and play essentially is the services we provide for day 0. We'll talk about more. The second thing is for cloud DN template. This is more for, let's say you want spin off CSR in AWS. We'll create that quickly go into AWS and do API call and spin off that services. Now I pre-create a template here for this session. It's called a BRK EWN, right? And under that, I create a new template. Essentially, in this new template is I want to enable continuous transmitter traps for clean air. But right now, DNA Center doesn't give me that capability. So what I do, I create the CLI template. Then 2 fields I need to talk about. One field is important, is device type. So device type on the template essentially to define as a sort of like a filter, right? So that means